Good, I made it. I don't got my beer. I'm gonna run downstairs and grab my beer really quick.
Oh, okay.
You're already TWB.
TWB?
Traveling Wild Black.
Well, fortunately, I'm only going down some stairs. So
yeah, you know, this is the episode. I gotta send emails or something. Oh man, I think we're about to be live, Grandpa.
Oh yeah, okay.
Hey, we're live now. I'm just letting people know we're live.
Oh, okay.
Oh man. So Uncle Pooh Bear is gonna be back in a second, just grabbing his beer. We you know how the show is.
Right.
You know, this is how we do things, folks. Whatever people are watching us right now. Let's see. Let me see.
all right, I'm back.
Yeah, that's good. Let me check. Let me be on the chat. Let me get the chat going. Oh, we got 2 people watching. Oh, from jump. All right, we're doing it. We're doing it big. What's that say? We are the ones we've been waiting on. I like that shirt.
Yeah.
What's that? We are the ones. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're the ones we've been waiting for.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Turn this on. This little heater, man. Yeah. So this is episode 66.
We thought we were the one. We gonna have to wait with it.
Yeah, we episode 66, man. So this is this. We might have some guests. I don't know. we'll see.
It's always touch and go. That's cool.
It's always touch and go, you know. But let's get into it. Grandpa, you want to launch us into our beer part of the beer segment of the show?
Yes, sir. What I have here is Samuel Adams.
Of course.
Jackal Pumpkin Ale.
Jackal Pumpkin. Okay.
Got an ale here. There's 12 fluid ounces at 4% alcohol.
Okay. Pumpkin.
Yeah, pumpkin.
That I'm curious.
That mixture you had before.
Okay.
And on this with the pumpkin.
Oh yeah. Well,
anyway, that's what I'm drinking here. And I'm going to give it a pre-rating since I think I had them. I think I can at least start out with a 5.75.
5.75.
No, let's go 5.65.
Oh, he's lost a tenth of a point. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Let me see. I got me and Grandpa did this we did this one last year already, Grandpa, because Michigan State started football. Sparta American IPA, you know, by Brewing North Peak Company. They're in Dexter and Traverse City, Michigan. They say it's a bold, hop forward, balanced beer.
Hop forward. Okay.
Yeah, man.
It sounds like something I like.
You might.
Yeah, I love hoppy beers.
Okay.
All right. So I got what's your pre-rating, Josh?
Oh, I think I had this last shot. I'm giving it a 5. I am not big on super happy beer.
If you don't like it, that sounds like I ain't gonna like it. Then.
No, you're gonna love it.
Oh, you don't like hops? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have Unity Vibrations Bourbon Peach. Remember I was talking about the beer with kombucha in it?
Yeah.
So that's this one, Bourbon Peach. This is actually made in Ypsilanti.
Ooh, Ipsy.
Yeah. Huh?
That's it with the kombucha?
Yeah. It's 8% alcohol. This is like I haven't had it in a while now, so I'm, you know, my beer bouginess has gone through the roof. But I used to love this to the point where I would rate this a 9. But I'm gonna be conservative today because I got a feeling it ain't gonna taste as wonderful as I remember it. So I'm gonna go with a 7. I still think it's good because I love like fruity beers that got a nice combination to it. It's really light. It reminds me of the beer like either like a hot Saturday you went for a run. Hey, Ash. Like on a hot Saturday you go for a run or you're cutting your grass and you just you want a nice refreshing beer or whatever or drink. lemonade, glass of lemonade, something like that. Think like really fruity, but it's a peach. So it says bourbon peach, but you don't taste any bourbon. There's no bourbon overtones to it. Oh, it's raw, vegan, and gluten-free. I didn't know that.
That's a lot.
Okay.
It contains, look at this. It gets more and more like good. It contains natural probiotics and aged on oak. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly hopped kombucha. Oh, lightly hopped kombucha with sliced peaches and bourbon
special
chips.
Guest here today.
Wait, that's a kombucha beer?
Yeah, and it's from Ypsilanti, so it's right near y'all.
I love kombucha. I'm gonna get
Actually, we got a special guest.
Oh, I see.
Who's the guest? Oh, hey.
He done put his. I'm very surprised to see him. This is exciting. I like hearing his opinions.
Oh, we should have a good one.
Oh yeah.
Ashley, are you sipping with us today?
I am hydrating with water because I am studying for my final exam for CLC. I brought in my beer, but we'll see how far I get with studying later on before I crack it.
Okay. We'll let that pass. We've had a water drinker on the show before.
Don't worry. Next week.
And several water drinkers. Some people start to go to an office, so they call in and with the water bottle and like, yeah, the high quality H2O.
What's going on, you guys?
Hey,
brother, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I get to jaw jack with you fine folks today, so I'm blessed.
Yeah. Hey, hey, Sean, I don't know how live we are and stuff, but I'm in a place where I can't do video and I got to jump off to go to a meeting. So just so you know, I wanted to make sure you knew.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing in that fine Michigan abode?
It's cold. I don't care what anyone says. It's cold.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's not as cold as she's projecting.
It ain't cold yet.
Yeah, it's cold light.
That's what makes it.
Ashley, I don't know about their blood. I know about yours. What kind of coat you wearing outside?
I'm wearing a real coat already. I've either been wearing very large, heavy sweaters or my quilted waterproof jacket that we have similar ones of, because it's breezy.
That tells me everything.
Sean is still wearing flip-flops and shorts with hoodies, and I've left that place. We're well past that, and I'm wearing pants, boots, and windbreakers at this point. So
since some of our guests got to hop off,
how are you?
Since some of our guests got to hop off, maybe we should go forward into the topic, and we can rate our beers along the way. Today we were going to talk about traveling while black, TWB for short. So we got people on here who've been all around the world. And
I can't find my baby. Oh.
And we want to get into it. What y'all experiences while traveling while black to different places.
So one of the things I wanted to make sure you guys knew, if you could take the time, through Roku or any other streaming device you have. The public broadcast system did a really nice job on a documentary of driving while black, and it goes back several decades in this, since the advent of the automobile and what it should symbolize in terms of freedom, and how that was certainly the case for some and not the case for others. So I think I really like you guys to make sure you take a look at that, and it's titled exactly that, Driving While Black, and it's on the PBS station. In fact, I'll send you guys a link to a trailer for it. Okay, but I thought they did a decent job, really good job.
That was PBS.
Yeah, PBS.
Oh, and another guest we got on a super rare occasion. Now I've had all the Denby sisters on the show.
I like your matching hairstyle, sister.
Hello.
The mom braid.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandpa Taylor. Hey, Boo. Hey, Dad. Hey, Ashley. Hey, host Sean.
Don't know if you have any alcohol, but because your dad has to only be on for a second, we decided to jump into the topic where we're doing TWB traveling while black. So everyone's giving their experiences and all that good stuff. Your dad just gave us a show or a movie about a documentary PBS did about driving while black.
Driving while black. Okay, yeah, I got on that part. I need to write that down.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're all like taking notes, like, oh.
Let me scramble for it. Just wait 1 second, y'all.
I'm always interested in some documentaries and just learning more about history, just especially where at this place where I'm at in my life with studying all this history. So I'm really curious. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up now.
Yeah, check it out. PBS Driving While Black, and I'm gonna text it to Sean, and Sean, you can circuit to everybody.
Yeah, I might even
put
TV notes. I mean,
man, I got the video. Oh, it looked like PBS. It's on the PBS site too.
Yeah, it's probably on the PBS site, so you can check it out. Yeah, it's good.
Well, I mean, since you're only gonna be here for a minute, go first. Tell us about your experiences.
Man, I've had all kinds of experiences, but first, I think.
Well, let me interrupt real quick. Give us your best and give us your worst.
Yeah, well, let me start with what the worst is. And the worst really is not one experience over the other, but the psychological impact of those experiences combined have on how I think about driving my car anywhere in the US, from the fear that I have, even as an accomplished African-American man, when there's the little nervous twitch that I get when there's whether it's a police car in back of me or driving late at night in a neighborhood that doesn't have anyone in it that looks like me, where I know the history that town used to be a sundown town, right? And sundown towns, if you guys are familiar with, are those towns where, look, boy, you better be out of this town come sundown, because if not, there ain't no life here for you, right? And so first, let's be clear. We all have issues and incidents that we deal with across the spectrum with respect to driving. And I'll get in one or two specific issues, but there's nothing worse than the psychological impact that has on us and how we make our decisions, even to the extent that when you're nervous about those kinds of things, your wits aren't really fully about you. And sometimes you can make the decisions that become a self-fulfilling prophecy that warrant intrusion into your space because you are psychologically impacted by that. And so recognizing that, when I get in my car, I have to steel my mind for that, because I'm not going to let it hold me back, and neither should you. But we have to steel our mind and make sure that we're thinking about that, and we're strategizing about how we engage the road and the neighborhoods and the places that we go in order to ensure that our families are safe. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's a hell of a burden to put on me vis-a-vis people who don't look like me and think that they get in their convertible and they can drive up into the mountains of North Carolina and everything is going to be okay, right? And so that's the worst of the worst, Sean. And so you want me to give you examples? They're kind of trite, but it's interesting. One of the things is we battle and we deal with these issues. You can imagine one of the worst experiences I've had was here in North Carolina. As you guys know, I've been an executive for companies for quite some time. And one of the things that North Carolina still has is a lot of segregated kind of areas, including country clubs. Now, I know high class problem, but there's a country club here that they had no African Americans, and they were really trying to integrate African Americans in the club. So, your mother-in-law and I were one of 3 first couples to be invited to this club. And I hadn't thought about joining it, but I was downtown at a meeting. In fact, I was in a meeting with the mayor downtown at that time. I was dressed up in a suit, and they called me and says, hey, yeah, you're in, we want you to join. And I was contemplating it. And so on my way back from the meeting, I drove to this country club. And I drove into the parking lot, and I was sitting in the parking lot finishing up a business call. And somebody came out of the door, and they looked over, and then they scurried back into the country club, and they came back out, and they looked over again, but they came out with 2 officers. And I was like, man, this is kind of weird. What's going on? The officers approach my car. I'm in a suit and tie. I'm in a car that costs more than $100,000. And these guys are saying to me, hey, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. And I said, wait, I just was invited to the club. And, I came here I'm finishing up my phone call, and I'm going to go in and walk around and talk to the membership manager and make sure that everything's okay. No, you don't belong here. We've had people coming into this parking lot, stealing radios from cars, and you need to leave now. Now, I'm in a suit, okay? I'm in a very fine car. Not that cars mean anything, but still, it's a cue to something. And yet, they certainly harassed me. And of course, it was a tremendous blessing to me. So it's a bad story, right? It's a bad story, right? What was the good thing about DBW and driving while black and having that kind of interaction? Well, guess what? I didn't spend money joining that country club. Right. Life is good, right? I mean, so you got to take the good with the bad. But I also had the opportunity, and I should have recognized. That going back to that psychological piece I was talking with you about, I should have recognized that was going to be an issue. But that's what I mean. Sometimes, we just can't always be on the top of our game in the situation. And that's just the burden that we bear today at, driving while black. And I have other stories too, but I thought I'd share those with you.
And do you find?
Yeah, everybody got questions.
We all just like to.
And what year was that, brother?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That was 2014. No,
that was when I was home. I think that was 15.
Yeah, 2014, 2015.
I thought you was gonna say like 95, 85.
When he said radio, I was like, they still in radios like that?
Dad, do you find that happens to you more here in the U.S. or when you're traveling abroad and you're even more foreign?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I'll tell you one of the things that I've done to kind of adapt to it. Like what I will tell you is that when I'm in Europe and when I'm in Asia, I have no issues at all like that from a business perspective. Now, there's a distinction between Europe and Asia. Like when you go to London and when you go to France and when you go to Belgium, there are distinctly Black populations in certain areas of the city. And of course, on my downtime, I go to those areas, right? You can see that they're over-policed. I mean, that's clear. But when I'm not in those populations and I walk into a room in Europe or in Belgium or whatever, they recognize me as a businessman. In fact, what I will tell you is that they're quite surprised to see a Black person as a businessman in those settings. And quite frankly, they think, oh, well, man, if you're a Black businessman and you're executive here, you must be one of the exceptional Blacks. So you get a little bit of that, and that feels kind of funky too, right?
Wow.
And the same thing in Asia. I see the same thing in Asia, but literally in Asia, there are no, Black pockets in the city. Everybody is Asian. We're anomalous to them. And if you're a business person there, you're accorded a decent amount of respect in that regard. So, in my experiences.
Does it matter which part of Asia?
China. China, like say Beijing, Shanghai, Xiamen and Guangzhou, which is in the southern part of the region. And then in Hong Kong, I get the same feel. And in Taiwan, I get the same feel. The place where it can be a little bit off is because their society is a little bit more homogeneous is the Japanese, right? It's the Japanese and then it's everybody else, okay? And so you feel a little bit of it. If I were to grade it though, I feel less of the issue in the Asian countries than I do in Europe. I mean, there's still a little bit of that there because I think the whole colonialist mindset that is in their basic DNA.
Sure. And then I'm assuming America's still number one.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
America is rough. You know, we really do have to change our behaviors. Ashley probably would not share the conversation with you, but I mean, you know, things that other people might say is, bro, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go that far. But, you know, a man does what he has to do to protect his family. Look, you know, I go to a new place. I go to the police station. I introduce myself. I tell them what my address is. You know, I do a minor contribution to their funds, right? So that they understand and know. It's just insurance. It doesn't mean I love them. It just means that, you know, I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure that they can recognize me in a way that's positive for my family.
Wow.
Does it have a positive impact? I don't know. But look, we have to be thoughtful about it because we can protest and we should continue to protest. We can protest and drive for change all we want. And that's absolutely important. And it is our obligation to do so, right? But it is also our obligation to make sure that we do those things and take on those actions that continue to help maintain our family and our property, right? And so, so never get weary of driving while being Black and doing the things you need to do to keep yourself safe, right? Don't get weary of it, right? And then the next day in the daylights, protest the heck out of it until we see change, right? Got to do both. And
wow.
It's tiring, but okay. So that's my story, you know.
So what about the good one? You guys say the good story.
Sure.
Yeah, tell us about good traveling, good driving while Black.
So okay, good traveling story. I'm driving with my I tell you what, a better traveling story than the one I was going to tell you. My wife, I was probably traveling somewhere around the world, and my wife was pregnant, and I think she must have been pregnant with either Asia or Amber, because one or two kids were in the car. I'm pretty sure it was Asia and two kids were in the car. And she was probably driving to Chicago, and she got a flat tire, and I'm not with her. In the state of Indiana, okay, now just for reference, okay, just for reference, if I have to drive anywhere from here to there, and the state of Indiana is in the pathway, I try to drive around that state. I just want to be clear, okay?
Wow.
We're not Indiana people.
Okay. So, you know, I'm not saying they're good people. They're not good people in Indiana, but I've had more bad experiences than good. But the cool thing was that my wife was on the side of the road. She had a flat tire, and the police, not only the police, but another white family stopped and helped my pregnant wife change the tire, take care of my kids, and get them back on the road, right? And so, so there are two morals to the story. Everybody that we see, everybody that we engage with that would otherwise cause us to be fearful in driving while Black isn't out to harm us. That's the good moral of the story. The flip side of it is that it doesn't mean you still shouldn't be paranoid and take the actions that you need to take in order to protect yourself and your families. So that was a good story. Whenever I think about how this impacts my wife and my kids and my family, which each of you on this phone are part of my family now, Taylors and all, right? I just say, just stay vigilant. Don't be fearful. Just stay vigilant, knowing that these experiences aren't gonna change. They aren't gonna go away, and that we protect ourselves, but we also protest for change. So hopefully, that adds a little value to this conversation. And I'm sorry you guys can't see my hands moving and my facial expression and all that stuff, but hopefully you can feel it through the chat.
It keeps an air of
Good
mystery.
stories, brother. Good stories. Yeah, great stories, man. There was definitely some good shares there.
Yeah.
He done covered all the. Now I got to think of something creative about being out here while black. He done covered all the domestic. Now I got to tap into international traveling while black.
I was going to pick to Erin because I know she lived overseas for a number of years, so that's got to be a whole different experience from just saying hi for 2 weeks and coming back home or whatever. So you wanna dive into that?
Yeah. So I was just thinking about this earlier on today. So when I lived in Zimbabwe, it was a little bit different of an experience for me because on one side, people were like, wow, American. And on another side, people were like, we hate you. Like, so there was that dichotomy that you kind of always lived with because Americans at that time, probably still today, had a reputation of coming over. They didn't want to learn the language. They wanted everybody to assimilate to their culture, assimilate to the way that they did things, and weren't really too much interested in doing things the other way around. So, of course, I lived in Zimbabwe as a little girl. So a lot of the cultural things that sort of were different for me was.
You didn't put yourself on mute.
You're muted.
You muted yourself.
You muted yourself.
It's a heartfelt story she's telling right now.
She
just on mute, talking.
She can't hear us.
She can't hear us.
Yeah.
I'm over here talking.
Yeah.
That's what we were like, this looks so bad.
She's about to have a tear in her eye and everything. She had told.
Now.
Yeah, you can hear you now.
You can hear me now. Okay, good. I'm over here. I was like, and then all of a sudden I see hands waving. Sorry. So I was saying, yeah, so I have lived a couple of places overseas. I lived in Zimbabwe, and then I lived in South Korea also for 3 months. And I will say probably one of the most harrowing experiences that I had when I traveled was in Korea, was in South Korea. So I get off the plane. The only thing I know is 화장실, which literally means bathroom, because I figured I didn't want to wet myself like getting off the plane in South Korea. So I figured that would be like a top-notch thing to know. And I get down, and the person who was supposed to meet me at the airport doesn't show up, and I don't know Korean.
Oh no.
And the only thing that I can think about is, how do I get from point A to point B, and I don't know the language, and I look like no one. So there's a couple of things running through my mind. I don't know the language, and I look like no one here, so I stick out like the sore thumb. So I'm prime time picking for anybody who thinks I don't know my way around. So there are a couple of things warring within me. So I look around, I can't really read the signs. I figure it out eventually, but I end up getting into this taxi, and the taxi driver was like, oh, taxi? And I was like, okay, sure. So we're traveling along. I don't think that I told this story right after I got back because I was afraid my family may just kill me. So I was.
This is a good story or a bad story?
Yeah.
This corridor. Yeah, it was a yeah. So I'm walking along this corridor, and he's taking me down this elevator into a basement, and there's this flicker of fear, like, am I gonna, like, what's going on? of course, it's an airport. So, you know, you don't expect anything horrible ever to happen. Well, maybe horrible things do happen at an airport, but there was a flicker of fear. Get in the taxi cab, and he takes me safely to my place, and everything is fine. But I realized very, 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 very quickly when I was in South Korea that English is optional and that personal space was optional. So I had many times where I was traveling on a train where someone would run their hand through my hair because my hair looked so different, which was also a harrowing experience because it was like, do I even have the right to say, don't touch me like a chia pet? Like, do I even have the right? Like, it was just very odd things that happened. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
That's a crazy story. You never told us that story. And
also
about the cab thing, about the cab thing, Aaron. I just want you to know, after this call, you're grounded. We're gonna retro that thing, girl.
Your dad's like, give me all the names and faces of people who touched your hair. I'm gonna fly out there right now and handle all of them.
Wait, Dad, I didn't get to the best part of that story.
Oh my goodness.
So you gave me some money when I first went over?
Yeah.
That cab ride was $300 US.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
How far was the ride?
That cab ride was $300. And I remember I got into the cab and I looked up and I saw like the little buttons on the ceiling. And I was like, okay. And then I arrived like during rush hour and I just kept seeing the meter tick, 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 tick. I got to the school and I was like, oh my sweet baby Lord. I just spent $300 on a cab ride.
That's why he helped you, because you had spent all that money.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't look like anybody, and they know I don't speak the language. So they knew. They were like, oh, she's easy pickings. We'll just put her in the cab and keep it moving. So yes, very odd experiences there.
The scary thing about that is the fact that that's probably the best case scenario, because we hear all the time about people getting kidnapped and all of the scary stuff. And $300 in your life, that's a good day.
That's a good day. That's a good day.
I'm all right. And it's so funny because I kept trying to talk to the cab driver, like, hey, so how's your day going? And he would just smile and nod. And I'm like, dear Lord, I don't know where I am. I'm on the highway. I don't know if he's going to take me to the right place. Like, my life is in your hands at this point. So after that experience, it just kind of scared me from going out even. Like, it took me almost 2 days to leave my dorm room to go out to find food. Because I was just like, I don't know anybody. I don't speak English. I had gotten a roommate that spoke Korean so that she could kind of help me around. But I didn't realize how homogeneous the country was. I didn't realize that, you know, unless you went to where like the American air base was, you weren't getting a whole lot of English. And I don't know if it was deliberate, like, you know, we're going to make it a little bit hard for you, because I experienced that in Zimbabwe where people were like, we're going to make this a little bit hard for you, you know, arrogant American, you think we're going to speak English, we'll only speak Shona around you, which is how I kind of learned Shona. But yeah, it was just a very interesting experience. And I didn't know how to read the menus. So finally, when I found a spot to go and eat, I went to that spot every morning to eat because she knew what I wanted. So she would just be like, bulgogi. She'd tell me to sit down, and that was a $5, you know, meal for me. So for my first week and a half, I went to the same place over and over and over and over again, because it was just like, okay, she knows what I want. I don't have to read the menu, and she was very nice to me. So overall, everyone was very friendly, but you definitely felt that sense of other.
Yeah, let me ask you. So as it relates to, you know, trying to dovetail that to an international experience and the theme around driving while Black, did you have a sense?
Just traveling in general, Dad.
Pardon me?
All around.
Okay. Did you have a sense there though that there was any issue with you being Black and traveling and eating and engaging with them from an international perspective in South Korea?
I never got that sense, but I did get a sense that people were very shocked by me. So I was sitting down with a friend, and she said, you know, you'd be a great English teacher here. And she was like, you're so enthusiastic and you don't talk like all the other Blacks.
Mm.
And it kind of like cocked my head to the side. So I never got the sense that I wasn't welcomed there. What I got the sense of was more so like they have an idea, like what I got a sense of is that they have an idea of how we're supposed to be. I think much like some, whites here that don't get a whole lot of exposure to us, they had a very specific idea about how I was supposed to be and who I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so when I presented myself differently, it was a little bit, go ahead. Sorry, Dad, what's your name?
No, go ahead. Yeah, like you're not like the rest of them, like Fred said.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a not like the rest of them vibe, which I'm not, it's not like I've never heard that before, right? Because I've heard that from, people here where it's like, oh, yeah, I feel comfortable around you because you're not like the rest of them. But I found like more so in Korea, that sort of idea existed and it was not improper to voice it, right? Like here, a lot of people are like, okay, that's not politically correct. And I also found that blackface in Korea was acceptable, which was a whole nother level for me, right? Like it was not like at Halloween time, they had the big lipped Black man face cover that you could wear.
Okay.
That's interesting you say that part of the stuff, because I remember I was watching this, like it was not necessarily a documentary, but it was like people go out and do like Gallup polls and they go out and just do the general population. So like it was I'm not sure, I think it was China or something. Some guys that went over there and they were doing info. I guess they're gathering data about how people felt about the Black Panther movie, the Marvel movie that came out. And a lot of the Chinese people there, I'm saying Chinese, I believe it was China, where they were saying that like, wait, we didn't even know that Black people could be seen like that. Like they were just like, it was like, I'd never seen a Black superhero before, or I never saw them in this light. It's weird that to us in America, because we have comic books and stuff like that, where it's not like it's great, but when you see positive Black representation as a child, you grow up and it's different. Because as a kid, you haven't gotten beat down yet with reality and bills and whatever. And because outside of the US, like you said, so homogenous, that why would you need to see a Black people movie, right? You know what I mean? You see hip hop and everything, and they love that over there, but they get one facet of it. They get one small facet. Right. And it's like everybody's got to be like this because we're homogeneous over here. So we're all like this. They all be like this because this is what the rest of the world sees. And when they saw that, people were just like, we never even knew this was possible, even though it's a comic book. But the visualization was so foreign to the rest of the world that people were just like, we didn't even know Black people even imagine great things for themselves in this capacity.
Yeah, I found that was really interesting too. The hip hop culture in South Korea is pretty strong. So, I found it really interesting too. I guess you could say in traveling while Black, that they were in they had hair salons that would make their hair look like my hair does naturally. And I found it so interesting that they had this obsession with braids and dreadlocks and putting those, or locks and putting those, not dreadlocks, excuse me, that's not the word for it, but locks, and putting those into their hair. And there's this fascination with it. And you'd see, guys, when we would go, because, the way that Seoul is structured, it's very, so they have like a party district basically where you go to party and that's what you do in that district. And when we would walk around there, you'd see the guys with the dreadlocks and the swag and, sort of imitating, Black culture, or like what we sort of visualize as Black culture. And I was like, like, I think that's kind of where I started to really love my hair, because I'm like, there's somebody across the world whose hair I'm trying to imitate, but they're trying to imitate my hair. They're trying to get what I got. And I think that was a really interesting realization for me, is that even though you have a really homogeneous population, they do love, like when we would go out to, dance and party, Lil Wayne would be pumping in those clubs. I'll never forget, we were in the middle of a club and like, all of a sudden Mary started playing in the middle of the club. Like we were literally in the middle of a club, and then all of a sudden the lights start flashing. There was a Black DJ that night, I remember. And Mary starts playing, and then like scripture started getting quoted. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? But they're like all of these things that sort of represent us, like where they see us a certain way, but because they don't sit down and have conversations with us, and they're looking at it from like the cultural perspective. And what I mean by that is like the hip hop and the swag, and because they don't get to see us on a daily basis like that. I think stuff gets lost in translation. So then when they sit down and they talk with me, and I'm not like, hey, yo, like what they hear in hip hop, which is cool. I think it
that's not even how Ebonics go.
I know, Pooh. That's the reason why I didn't even try. You heard me stop myself. You heard me stop myself from trying, because I can't.
The wildest things to me is when I stumbled up. You know how you go down the YouTube channel, and
you heard me stop, Pooh.
I never understood. After I there's you've heard of the International B-Boy Championships, right? It's like this big dance competition in Asia. And like you'll see all these Asian dudes and girls break dancing and pop locking and do all this stuff that started in New York and everything. Not one Black person judge, not one person cloud, not one anything. And then I revert back to what you're talking about with blackface, because I did see, I'm not going to say their names, but a few people who were in the Black community who were rappers who were over there on a game show where they were having blackface laughing. And I'm just like, so y'all know this is happening. And it's wild, because it's like we think that it's bad over here about how, because like we got at least a few laws that will shield you from it, which I'm not going to get into that, but like over there people don't care. It's just like, this is what Black people are. You are a commodity. Everything about you is commodity, except for the fact that we don't want you to be out here making money off yourselves, and it's cutthroat.
They what they say, they love Black culture, they just don't love Black people.
Yeah. I've heard somebody say they love our rhythm but don't want our blues. They love our rhythm but don't want our blues, and that's just the truth. That's the truth.
Pops, jump in, man. Let's get us a 1940 story.
Yeah, Grandpa Taylor.
Let's get a pop.
I talked enough.
Jump off. You were in World War II and in Vietnam, so you done seen all sides of the international.
Come on, he was too young for World War II, man. Come on.
He said he was in it.
The emotions get to you, in your traveling while Black. And I don't choose to bring up to me, Mom. That's why I'm listening. Because every time I think of some of the things that happened to me over my lifetime period, those emotions take over, And I like to sit back and enjoy this thing, because
you gotta drop a gem, Grandpa.
Happened to me, I can't handle it.
You gotta tell us a story, Grandpa. Give us one.
There's too many.
Cherry pick.
It's almost like
we got time, Grandpa Taylor.
Together,
Yeah.
All right, we're here for you.
No, but let me just say though. I mean, that's the point when you talk about the ugliness of it, and Pop is right on, and I'm glad. I'm not sitting over here going crazy, because he's lived a lot longer and is a lot wiser than I am. But that psychological piece, Pop just said it, right? He's like, it's just so many of the daggone things, I don't even want to talk about it, right? We gotta, in order for us to get through this call and get through this day, we gotta find ways to repress it and push it out of our mind, or the weight of it will be just so great that, it'd be crushing in terms of every step that we tried to take going forward. So I hear you, Pop. So I'm not gonna press you for the story.
I know one.
I know what I'm dealing with ain't even a tenth of what you had to deal with. Okay, so
I know one story.
I feel you.
I know one story Grandpa told us several times about when he was in the service, and this wasn't even him at war. It was him going south, and them asking him once they got past the Mason-Dixon line to get off the train. And this is Grandpa that served our country. He didn't even get on the train all the way.
You know, you get a first class seat from Uncle Sam to pay your way to. We were headed to Columbia, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. We got to Washington, D.C. All of a sudden, we got to give up our seat. We get to Columbia, we can't even go in the train station. See, the black people have to go behind the train station. They got some seats for you to sit out there. And I'm thinking, now this is America. And I have just experienced some difficult things, but nothing like this as I grow older. Because when I was young, my mother, we were traveling to, this is about never forget, about 1936, somewhere 37. And I was 4 or 5 years old, 6, whatever. But anyway, we get to Cincinnati, Ohio, and the bus stops. Of course, we riding Greyhound, you know, cheapest route possible. But anyway, we get to Cincinnati, and everybody get off to go into the restaurant to get something to eat. And so my mother, she grabbed me by the hand, and we going around to the back of the building. And I'm trying to tell her the door. We passing the door. You know.
The door.
You keep saying, hush, boy. But you don't disturb nothing. We get around to the back of the restaurant, and they got a half door. You know, they don't open the whole door. They open half the door. And somebody open up and ask you what you want, you know. If you get a sandwich or something, then they hand it to you from there. But you're going to eat it out. You can't nowhere to eat. You're going to eat it outside. You know, maybe there might be a bench or something. But that was just an experience that I remembered when I went into the military. And I get to Columbia, South Carolina, and they can't go in the train station. We get on the bus, on the post to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and it's green grass, beautiful building, brick buildings and everything. That was the headquarters where the administration building and everything was. And I'm thinking this is where we're going to be billeted. Everybody gets off, but the black troops, they keep on. They take us out to a place called Tank Hill. And if anybody ever been to Fort Jackson, they'll know there's a big tank up there on the hill. And it's where the black troops were billeted. And it was sand. You know, you open the door and the sand just runs through there. You know, you kept a bag full of sand, you know. And that was the beginning of experience, you know, that, you know, everywhere you go from then on in, you got that problem, you know. Mm. So a lot of things have happened even overseas. I was stationed in Japan a couple of years, but one thing I can say, I know Japan was humble. They had lost the war and everything, but I felt more comfortable with them, you know, even on a one-on-one basis than I did here in the States. You know, you could go to a place, you know, it's some reason or another, I think people kind of radiate their feelings. Because under those circumstances, the Japanese never, to me, you know, this is me personally, they never exposed to me that they were better than me or nothing like that, even though they had lost the war. But they seemed to have accept me. And I'm saying to myself, I'm treated better here than I'm back in the States, you know. So, I mean, this was that feeling you got. That's why I mentioned to you, Freddie, when we was in Paris, you know, the young lady was waiting on us, and she made me feel so comfortable. No, I can't even explain it. But there was something about her that radiated that made me feel comfortable that I didn't finish feeling in the States when you go to a restaurant and they wait on you, but you're not appreciated, you know. Let me get this order quick, and one of them, that's it, you know. The young lady took time for us. You'd have to explain it tonight. You tipped, y'all, you weren't supposed to be tipping, but y'all tipped her well, right? But yeah. I told Sean, I said, I felt personally that she deserved something, you know, especially from I told him, we came out the restaurant. So Sean said, well, we tipped her well. I said, yeah, but this is something special. So you take this, I give her $10. So you take this and go back and give it to the young lady. Because for 2 times in my life, I felt like somebody waited on me and appreciated, the business, So, like I say, but the thing that's so painful over the years, you don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good trip. She made out good that night.
Oh, she made out. But she carried herself. She deserved it. She carried herself in a way that you felt comfortable in her presence there. Because she took when she was going through the drinks and what to drink and everything, and she was so overly helpful, And I felt something different. It's similar to once in Germany, in Stuttgart, and me and Big Sean, Hank, and we went to a restaurant, and you go in there. Now I don't know how the German people feel about anything, but they treated me well, and there was something that radiated and made me feel comfortable. Not that they overly done anything, but it felt like I was just a part of, of this. I can't even explain it, the society or whatever, But anyway, like I said, some of the things so painful you don't even want to talk about them.
Yeah.
I love to think that on some of my trips where I've had awkward moments, I'm like, oh, this is so bad. And then Grandpa Taylor tells that. I'm like, well, it's not so awkward. I don't think anymore. And I know I went to Prague in 2008, maybe. And I remember I was walking with the one other Black young lady that was on the trip with us. We were the only, I think there was maybe one other Black young man, but it was us 2 ladies, and we were walking together with some of our other friends in the group. And we had a guy follow us for a block. And to her, she was a darker skinned girl. And he said, whoa, sexual chocolate for a block. And me, I'm little, I'm chubby, I'm Black, I'm American. Mine was, oh, sexual big mama. And at that time, I'm a freshman in college. It wasn't I wasn't some adult that was necessarily prepared to handle this. I'm still a kid, and this man is following us. I remember our tour guide who was from Prague. I remember him hopping between us and the guy, and not a fight per se, but him putting his hand out and catching the guy in the chest and being excuse you, back off. And then for the rest of the trip, we stuck very close to our tour guide because that happened a couple of times. And so it wasn't necessarily, I guess, that kind of overt racism that you want, but it was very much a sexualization of young Black women. And I'm happy to say, especially after hearing Grandpa Taylor's story, that is the worst thing that's ever happened to me while traveling. Because I've even gotten to travel by myself while Black. I was meeting girlfriends in South Africa. We took different flights. So I had a long layover in London. It was great. And I got to South Africa, and it was relatively easy. I experienced more issues, it felt because I was American than because I was Black in those places. But in South Africa, I was very popular. Everyone wanted to help me. Again, that little and chubby brown came in handy in South Africa. Got a lot of free stuff, a lot of meals paid for.
Right,
didn't carry a bag the whole time.
Next time, Ashley.
Yeah. My girlfriends enjoyed it. We didn't pay for drinks half the time.
My wife was beautiful. She had a good time. Great.
Oh, Sean is get on to the next thing, right? Get on to
But yeah, it was fun. And I found that I traveled to other brown countries. I've done Trinidad and Tobago for Carnival. And again, everyone's very welcoming. It was a good time. And I think the stark difference between a place that is predominantly Black and how well you're treated, and a place that's not predominantly Black, but like they have a decent relationship when it comes to Black Americans. It's comfort in both places, but it's wildly different comfort. Like I immediately, like when I was in Trinidad, I was like, I could live here. When I was in South Africa, I could live here. Like it was very much like I could see myself being in those places. And so while I went into it nervous, because I was like, oh, I'm by myself, or I'm just with like a couple of girlfriends and we don't always know the stuff. I think the fact we made sure to take a chance to educate ourselves and to be armed with that knowledge while traveling, which I think was helpful and have made traveling while Black for me a mostly fun experience. Also, God looks out for old folks, babies, and fools. So I guess I've also been kind of lucky because I definitely got in a cab in South Africa with a man that I did not understand anything he said. All I remember him as being like, pretty girl, I'll help you. And I was like, cool. Here's my luggage.
These cab stories are going to get us into so much trouble.
Yeah, Dad is quickly rethinking every trip he's ever sent us on.
No more cab stories.
I'm listening. I'm hearing it.
And next time you should just make sure we have cars in any country we visit.
In any country we go into.
See how I see it. You know, I see where you went with that.
I definitely hopped in the cab.
Sound like they setting you up, brother.
They set me up, right? They set me up.
You up, our husband's up. Everybody's getting set up for this, okay?
Listen, fortunately, what they don't realize is that they really just set their husbands up, okay?
Yeah.
I just want to be clear.
Matt, I hope you're watching the
podcast.
Honey, I hope you're...
Hey, wait, so now I see how this was set up, right? So the sisters talked and they was like, look, we're going to tell these cab stories. We're going to make them feel a certain way. But what y'all didn't catch was Dad told you, he said, when I go into a town, I go to the police, I go introduce myself, I tip them a little bit to take care of my family. So that was a push for the husbands. So, he one step ahead of y'all, man.
Honey, now that's on you now, dear.
Yeah. That's funny.
But you know what, too, you guys just saw what Grandpa Taylor was talking about in his stories. Man, you guys just saw that PBS documentary. I mean, he could have done it. I mean, I sat here and I watched it with Amber, and I mean, by the end of it, you're just shaking your head, right? You don't know whether to be angry and lash out or cry. So I mean, those stories are poignant and they're real. And look, you know, I consider myself privileged for them to have taken a lot of that and have forced a lot of the change. But again, we have to stay vigilant. We have to protect ours, and then we have to continue to fight for our rights for equality. And, you know, your observations is that, look, I got to tell you, sometimes in terms of how we're treated, it does feel like we're in a foreign country here in the United States relative to how we're treated in other parts of the world. But if it's going to be better, it's going to be up to us as well. So look, let's just keep fighting. You guys, I got to jump on this. I got to run to another meeting. But I love being present here and hearing all your stories. Although, Fred, I didn't get to hear your story, man. But so I tell you what, jump into one for me right now. Tell me, I want to hear it. I'm gonna create a little extra time as people blowing up my other phone. Okay, but we go.
Tell them when you found out you were light skinned, Uncle Pooh Bear.
Say it again.
Tell them when you found out you were light skinned.
Oh, okay, that's a funny story. All right, yeah. So we were in Ghana, right? And we were having a conversation. First time me and Dad was in Ghana. That was like 2017, 2016, 2017, something like that. And, you know, we're in Accra, so we're downtown in a nicer area, I guess. But, you know, it's just good to be around all Black people. Most of my horrific stories happen here in America. Like, America is, I haven't experienced, I've never been to Asian countries or anything like that. I've been in Europe and I had all pretty good experiences. But what was funny was, what was funny was in Ghana, right? So like Pop say, we out with the brothers, right? So we out walking the streets and kind of having conversation and talking. And I don't know how we ended up in this conversation. And I must have mentioned being like darker skinned, right? I was like, yeah, because I got darker skin, this, and that. And all of them immediately was like, whoa, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm a little darker complexion. They said, brother, you light skinned. and I was like, light skinned? Like, come on, like, I'm not light skinned. They said, do this. So I'm in a circle of Africans, right, of Ghanaians, and we all do this. I was like, yeah, I'm light skinned. Like, like they look like my shirt, brother, and I look like I'm light skinned, But I know that's also a reference to being American, right? And American light skin in your eyes, right? And your view of the world or whatnot. But I thought that was funny because it was clear that I really am light skinned. We are not people of color, a dark color, right?
Yeah. So so did that carry any kind of did that carry any kind of bias at all for you in Ghana? I mean, you guys had a pretty open and frank conversation about it, but was there any sense that there would be ultimately a difference in treatment in the long run or anything of that nature? I mean, what was your sense of that?
No, I didn't feel like they treated us any differently. Like what I noticed traveling internationally in general is like everywhere that I've been, if they don't like Americans, they look at us differently. Like it's not really y'all. Like we know that y'all, y'all not like with the Trump crowd. We get that, So I didn't feel anything like that. I did feel like in Ghana, you better start to understand the Twi language really quickly. Because even though that English is the first language of the country, which is a disastrous benefit of English colonialism, because you can actually talk to all of these people. But if you don't know the Twi language, because you'll be talking and then they'll start talking the language Twi on the side, somebody's about to hustle you. That's what's really going on.
Is that right? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you better start picking up some of the local languages wherever you go. Like, so that was like a real eye opener for me. Like, oh, okay.
Because if they talking Twi, you about to get got, huh?
You about to get got, brother.
Same thing as the Ghanaians do. Anybody from Burkina Faso?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Burkina Faso. I said, do they speak the same language as the Ghanaians do?
I don't think
remember
so.
The guy was saying, evidently he picked up something. He was out there he was hustling some bells, trying to sell some bells, right?
Uh-huh.
And the other guy coming, he said, oh, he's from Burkina Faso. But I didn't catch what, to me, they look all the same,
Right.
So
we don't know the cultural differences, yeah.
Yeah. But he said, oh, they from Burkina Faso. So I'm assuming the adjoining state, they must come over there to a car, to do their business and then go back home. I didn't quite understand it, but anyway, he immediately let you know that they weren't from Ghana.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if they speak this. I don't know what language they speak in. I would imagine that they speak English, but I don't know what their native language is.
Yeah.
But I learned quickly that you better start learning the local language.
But they identify them as being not of Ghana.
Okay.
They speak French in Burkina Faso.
Oh, okay.
They speak French.
Nice.
Oh, okay. So
they speak French in Burkina Faso. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the reason then, because I didn't understand, how they identified where this guy was from, because everybody was out there trying to, make a living, selling some belts and whatever they had. And the guy said, oh, he's from Burkina Faso. And I want to know how you know.
I'm pretty sure it's like, the dialect and, your twang, it kind of identifies you in the area. But we, our ears aren't sensitive like that because we don't really know their different languages.
Next time you go over there, you got to take Erin with you because she's like the Rosetta Stone. She can speak and understand everybody.
Yeah, Erin just be speaking all the languages. I've accepted this. As
I apologize. Who can speak all these languages? Who y'all talking about? Me?
That's amazing. I'm so fascinated by y'all.
One more question I gotta ask this: is Burkina, was that a French colony like Senegal?
It must be.
Right. Burkina Faso was a French colony. I'm asking my husband because he's the one in African. He's the one, but baby, Burkina Faso is a French colony, right?
Okay.
Yeah, Burkina Faso was a French colony.
That's what I was thinking. You said they spoke French, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The French were all over, and I feel like people like to gloss over the French and their colonization, but like there's whole countries because like they carved out those countries for like where they just speak French. And it's like, oh, y'all like to act like you're friendly and don't, take things over, but okay.
Yeah.
We're watching.
I'm doing these series right now called Black Friday. So every Friday I'm going over a different piece of cultural history. And man, woo! Like the French is kind of like docile now, and it's like, oh, they all about Paris and love. And nah, buddy, they got a mean reign of terror around this world, and they're still doing it. I mean, it's just done differently now. It's just done, through their business interests and unrealistic loans that they're putting on countries that they're just decimating them with.
The French?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that France went when they lost their colonies, just like they lost the Vietnams and Algerians and all that, and they got blood on their hands, from the people that they
and Haiti, right? I just talked about them in Haiti, right?
Yeah, this is back in the
revolution
in the 60s, when France kicked them out of Vietnam and Algeria, and the people don't want to give up, that way of life that they had, So it was atrocities committed,
Yeah, history is fascinating, but it's interesting that when you travel, I don't know if y'all experienced this, but I've never been to the Asian countries, right? So I don't have any insight over there. But like even throughout Europe, like it's just nothing is like American racism. Like, I worry about driving around here and I'm in a predominantly Black area, predominantly Black, in the Black suburbs, south suburbs of Chicago. And like here is more concerning to me than when I was in London, right? Like when I was in London, you just a person, like they literally, or at least I didn't experience it, right? And then there goes again that unfortunate benefit of being an American, because they know if you're from America and you're over there, you gotta have some money in your pocket, right? Now, if I would have been from Africa, they might treat me differently. I don't really know, but as soon as we start talking, they know, oh, okay, where you from? Like, oh, Chicago, that twang, that's what they they all talking about our accent or whatnot, but it instantly identifies you, and I guess it gives them a level of comfort, like because you're way over there, you must have some money in your pocket, or you wouldn't be here in the first place. So
it's
when we were in,
it's like when you go somewhere, to make it a very simple trope. It's just like back in the heyday of Inkster. I'm not going to say what it was called, but like you just didn't roll up in Saigon, by yourself without the proper passport. You let certain people know who you were and why you were in a certain location.
Come on, man! You got foreigners. You got foreigners over here. They don't know where Saigon is.
He's made it very clear to share with me where it is. It is.
I'm so confused. Do you see my confusion?
Oh, like, when you visit, I'm gonna drive you by so you too can be annoyed with my husband, who I love so much.
Aaron, you're not missing nothing. I promise. You don't even want to know.
Okay.
No,
guess what that complex is actually called.
Don't put it out here.
I have no idea.
Don't put it out here. You text him.
It's called
okay.
The Denby Foundation or something. It's owned by like the Denby Group or something. I was just like, Ashley, y'all didn't have an eye this long.
I never knew the name of it. I never knew the name.
No one needs to, okay? No relation, no nothing.
All I know is mom and dad said, don't go over there. Go anywhere, don't go over there. Like
that's funny. Like here in the US, when I'm like going to a new place or going to a new neighborhood or anything, like I look up, and I kid you not, this is a little weird. It's not weird. Y'all probably do it too. I like to look up how racist it potentially is. But like when I was in Hungary, I remember like my friends and I've been like, let's just get on the train. Let's just go places. Like we didn't speak the language. We had like only so much money, but we wanted to go visit places. And so we went to the movie theater. I think we went to a movie theater when we were there. And so we got on the train. We went to the movie theater. We had beers because we could drink over there. And we were just comfortable as the day is long. Like it was just nice. But here at that age, like obviously when you're young, you're a little bit dumb. So you're like, I can go anywhere. But like you still look up like, all right, let's scan these reviews and stuff for racism. Like I'm not scanning necessarily for how good the food is, how hard is it to get there. How racist of an area am I potentially walking into? And I realized I didn't do that a ton overseas. And part of that is privilege because I don't know the history of certain places. So I kind of walk in blind, and we're Americans, so they don't really expect us to know tons of history. I generally am just researching like cultural norms so I don't offend anybody like while I'm out. But I think that it's so wild that like I do that here in the US, but like in South Africa, we're like, let's just go for a walk in like Joburg or like Cape Town. Let's just randomly walk around the corner for pizza of all things. Like, but in the US, I'm like, what do we got to look out for?
Man,
you're muted, Aaron.
I was gonna say just to your point, like, so Matthew, when he first started going back to work, he would say, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna be home by like 6." And if he was not home by like 6, my heart rate went up because y'all know where I live. Y'all have been to where I live, and so it's always kind of. I always kind of get that heart palpitation. Like, where are you? I haven't heard from you. Like, then I kind of turn into the nagging wife because it's like anything can happen. And I just, even I'll give you a good example. So here, like I constantly am worrying, like if Matt says that he is like on his way, I expect him to be here. Like I know how far Merck is, so it's 20 minutes away. So if he makes a stop, like I'm like, could you let me know? Because after dark, just like, how dad like is like after midnight, nothing good happens after midnight. Like when we were younger, like for me, it's like after 8 o'clock at night, nothing good can happen. Like just be in, like just with the climate that we're in. I know that sounds weird, but like if we're not out together and I'm not there to like hold and bear witness to what's happening, I get nervous. And I know that sounds like living in fear, but
that sounds
I think
rational.
Your husband is black, foreign, and very tall.
Where are you
at? Yeah. And
sounds
I just
rational.
Aaron, where is this racism being held at?
Don't go put her city out there. Don't go put her city out there on the interwebs.
No, boo. No,
Pennsylvania.
Hold on. You know where it's happening?
Right, Pennsylvania. Catch me in Pennsylvania.
It's happening in America. That's
Yeah.
what it's happening at. Because you better be concerned everywhere, especially under this Trump administration. Let's say it.
Because people have gotten bold.
Yeah. I mean, they always been crazy.
Yeah, but they knew who to be crazy with. Now that like when we were looking for houses,
literally might get pardoned. Like this dude would literally pardon them. Like that dude's crazy. That dude's crazy.
Yeah.
That when we were
going
looking,
to vote. Now look, see, I was on the fence.
We were looking for a house in a different neighborhood. So I guess not necessarily long distance traveling, but traveling to a city that's maybe 2 cities over from ours. But within 15 minutes, right? It's within a 10-minute drive. It's a gorgeous house. They have this beautiful wraparound double-decker porch and like everything my little like fake Southern dreams could desire. And so the baby and I got there early. And so I opened the car door because, a toddler likes to run around. And like neighbors came out on their porches to stare. The guy who lived next door was the father of the woman selling the house. He made sure to put his mask on before he came over, which I was like, oh, that's very considerate. And then I read what the mask said. And it was blue lives matter, respect the cops at all costs thing. I was like, I want to believe that you just wear that mask because that's how you feel, but I feel like you put it on to talk to me in a slightly threatening manner. And then he also, when the also Black realtor showed up, he stood outside of the house the whole time we were there. He was like, just let me know if you have any questions. And he kept wanting to tell us about the house and walk with us while we were outside. And I love that house. It was literally like my dream home. It had extra land. It was like 2 extra lots. I could have planted farm stuff. I could have had chickens. But the fact that my neighbor's sign said things like, vote Republican is what Jesus would do, which I'm like, oh, I think we know different Jesuses, but okay. Or it's like things like.
When they changed his skin color, why wouldn't they change his politics?
Yeah. Oh, I have to send you my favorite picture of Jesus, Pooh. I've got a great picture that I think you will, in fact, approve of. That is now my go-to response to anything anyone does when they call Jesus his name. And I'm like, oh, him? And he said, keep his name out your mouth. Like,
come on, give me some ammunition. That's the only thing I need is more.
You see disappointed Black Jesus. He's very concerned that you have the audacity to say his name.
Guys, I gotta hop off. It's been lovely, but I gotta go. I gotta get back to my day job. But it has been lovely talking with you guys. I know. I'm sorry. I'll be back. All right,
good
guys.
chat
Bye.
with you.
All right. Good chat with you guys too. Bye.
Aaron, you gotta give her a closing statement. She just hang up.
She out.
What closing statement you want me to give? Guys, thank you so much for having me. Travel while Black. Don't be afraid, but be vigilant. Have a good day. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye, sis.
Awesome.
Well, since we winding down, I got a few comments in the YouTube thing, Uncle Pooh. People want to know what beer you had.
Oh yeah, I want to write that down.
Unity Vibration.
Let me put that. Hold on. Let me put that in the thing.
Unity Vibration is a kombucha beer. Unity Vibration is the name of the brewery. Or is that the beer?
That's the beer.
Yeah, no, that's the brewery. And then Bourbon Peach is the flavor I have.
Okay, Bourbon Peach.
Bourbon Peach. So this is the color.
There we go.
I don't know if I actually showed that.
I'll drink. I will happily drink that. Like, I'm excited to find
the kombucha leans forward in this. If you like kombucha, this is your thing. But it's pretty sweet. It gives you got that little tang in the back.
The fermented sugars. Yeah.
Yeah. But when it's ice cold, it's a pretty good beer. It done warmed up now. We've been talking, but
one of our favorite legal experts, we've had on the show a couple times, Uncle Pooh Beckett. He's like, he want, like, I guess we're gonna do this next week's episode is gonna be about the Breonna Taylor case, the grand jury stuff that's been coming out. He's like, he's reading the documentation, and like, he's, I guess, our resident legal expert. He wants to come on. We can talk about that next week.
Oh, so you want to piss the folks off, huh?
And that sounds like a heavy week that I'll be definitely watching with popcorn.
What you got,
Pops? I've been thinking of getting rid of that grand jury for a long time because it never gets out of the grand jury. They find no reason for indictment, especially amongst us. It's a constant. We can't find any evidence that they did no wrong, so we'll dismiss this case. And you don't get your jury of your peers, to decide on guilt or innocence.
Well, Grandpa, here's what it says in a few excerpts are saying. One juror in particular says we were only asked to review the when the police officer fired recklessly.
Right.
They never even. They said the prosecutor never asked them about what they did to Breonna Taylor.
Right.
So that's why they
got a prosecutor now. At least they got rid of him. They're going to retry that again, from what I understand.
Maybe, but you know what? We gotta wrap up the show. But Grandpa, keep that fire for next week. Give your final thoughts, everybody. Ashley, go first. You're my wife, so we got to talk about that Africa trip you be doing with the cabs.
Yeah. I think my final thought is that I've learned my husband apparently doesn't remember any of the stories I used to tell him about when I traveled before we were married. if he was surprised by the fact that I don't pay for things when I travel to certain countries. But not anymore, baby, because I love and am loyal to you. So traveling to brown countries when you're little and chubby is delightful, even if you wouldn't expect it. Especially if you're playing Mask and Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. But yeah, I can't wait till the world opens back up so I can travel again with both my husband and my girlfriends.
Nice.
Well, that she means friends that are girls. It's not, it's let me know.
Hey man, let people live their life.
Nobody needed that, but thank you, baby.
I mean, if I was like a recipient, but that's a different episode. Oh,
but moving right along.
Uncle Pooh, you want to drop you got anything you want to drop? Where can we get those shirts that you're wearing right now?
Yes, I want that shirt.
This shirt, I got this from Traffic Sales and Profit. So if you go to trafficsalesandprofit.com, you can get this. This is actually part of the mastermind group that I'm in. I'm in their mastermind program, Traffic Sales and Profit, which is an all-Black collective of business owners that are out here getting it. Collectively, we did like $50 million last year as business owners, but it's really a good group. But they got a lot of great, positive, motivating, uplifting things. Because as I talked about, like not being big on the voting, I don't really care. We're going to have to solve our issues. It's been clear that nobody else is going to do it for us. So it's time for us to start getting it done. But as far as like the travel, I wanted to say there was something whatever. Oh, I can't wait for travel. I can't wait for travel to open up again so I can get the hell out this country. That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to lean into that too. I can't wait to get out the country. I can't wait to buy property internationally and live outside of the country. And I think that the country is doing itself a disservice because it's a lot of Black people that feel like me that's ready to leave. And when I leave, I'm not only going to leave, you're going to lose the intellectual brain drain as we transfer out of this country and open up businesses in other countries and not pay no damn taxes here. And that's another thing that I'm looking forward to, getting in on the tax advantages of being outside of the country. But again, you're going to lose the brain drain because y'all just keep wanting to play this super racist ass game. And the fact that I got to leave the country to go feel like a normal person rather than have all of these microaggressions and pressures and calculations that we got to put on our lives here is really going to bite America in the ass in the long run. And I can't wait to take a bite my damn self by leaving because I am out. I need to understand what it feels like to just be another person in the crowd. That's all I want to be, is a nobody. And I'm okay with that. So that's my talk for today.
All right, Grandpa, how you going to finish off the show?
Well, everything to be said was said, except that I'm finishing up my Samuel Adam Jack Old Pumpkin Ale.
Oh, what's your rating now that you do drink?
All right. What I came up with a 6 point something.
There you go.
7.5.
Sure.
Okay,
Grandpa language. That's a drinkable beer. Everybody, go find it.
That's a drinkable beer.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week, Grandpa. We'll talk more about Saturday. We'll figure out what we're gonna do. Love everybody. We'll see you next week. We're gonna talk about the legal implications of prosecutors not doing their damn jobs. All right. See you guys.
I like that title.